Hi, and welcome to my channel. If you are here, I am hoping that you might be looking for some information on Ankeny, Iowa. My name is Allison Hart. I am a local real estate agent, and I actually have lived in Ankeny since the 6th grade, so the year 2000. Go ahead and do the math on that and figure out how old I am. But I'm gonna provide you a long form conversation about Ankeny. So if you're someone who's used to watching Reels or TikToks and you want like a minute snippet, I'll probably go through and I'll snip this after the fact, but for right now, it is gonna be a longer conversation about Ankeny. So for starters, Ankeny is one of the areas in the metro, along with many others, that has just experienced a huge boom of growth. So when I was growing up here, the population was roughly 50,000. At this point, and I think in 2023, we came in just shy of 75,000. And I'm sure that we're probably over that at this point. There are constantly people moving to Ankeny all the time. So if you're someone who's interested in moving here, I'm gonna provide you some insights on our community. One of the things that people like about Ankeny is the location and the proximity to the metro, especially if you're someone who's looking at working downtown. From the southwest side of Ankeny, you can get downtown in probably 15 minutes. Once you go a little bit farther north to the northwest or northeast sides, you're probably looking at closer to a 20 to 25 minute commute into downtown, into West Des Moines, where a lot of the business industries are. The nice thing about Ankeny is if you're someone who has a spouse who works in Ames, meanwhile you are working in Des Moines, it is a perfect location for couples like that where you can kind of split the difference and be somewhere where it's not a long commute for either of you. We are also within a half hour of the Des Moines International Airport, so it's not a huge drive if you want to be close to an airport to be able to travel. Now, believe it or not, once upon a time, Applebee's was probably about the only, it was Applebee's and Bears were about the only two restaurants in town that you would go to. Anymore, that has drastically changed. So now Ankeny actually has two different entertainment districts that are great to go out in. They have great food, great restaurants, great drinks, music, etc. So the first one of those is the district in Prairie Trail. They have a host of restaurants and bars that you can hop around to, stop in, get a drink. One of my personal favorites is actually McGee's. It's an Irish pub over there, and there's a drink that I really like there. But there are so many different options to choose from. There's also a ton of shopping in those areas as well. You'll see we have Maria Vincent Boutique right here. There are just a ton of fun local options to shop around at. And then just trying to show you kind of location-wise, it is on the southwest side of Ankeny off of State Street, pretty easily accessible. And then I think it's always fun to go through some of the night photos. They also have sips and songs in the summertime in this kind of general area that I'm showing here, where they'll bring in local bands. Another entertainment district that we have as well is Uptown area, which is actually kind of in the older part or the oldest part of Ankeny. So in here, you'll see that this is, again, kind of on the southwest side of Ankeny, but in the older part of Ankeny. What I like about this area is that it actually hooks up directly to the High Trestle Trail. So if you want to ride the High Trestle Trail, but maybe you're not looking at going all the way to Woodward or Madrid, at least for me, I'm like a go to the gazebo kind of gal. It's a 12-mile bike ride. You can go out and back and have restaurants in Uptown when you get back. So I think that those are some really nice amenities there, but you have that with Trailside Tap, you have it with Fire Trucker. They usually have food trucks and things of that nature up there as well. Again, along with some different kind of home shopping stores, you've got Real Deals, you've got Tweedledees. So again, really kind of nice boutique areas that you can go to up there as well if you want to experience a little bit more of the nightlife. In our Uptown area, we also have a really great farmers market in the summertime. It is really, I think, a good farmer's market that you can get through in an hour with your kids. You can get in there and get, cookies, baked goods, fruits, vegetables, all that kind of stuff without having to spend like a whole morning doing it. If you are looking for something a little bit more robust from a farmer's market standpoint, you can go into downtown Des Moines for that as well. And that is quite the production. That's one of those things where my sister jokes it's a rolling brunch. It'd probably take you a couple hours at least to get through the Des Moines Farmers Market and see all of the different vendors that they have there. Another outdoor activity in the summertime that is more in the Uptown location is also yoga in the park on Saturdays, where it's outdoor. I'm pretty sure it's free. You can just pop in for a yoga experience. And they also have movies in the park where they play it on like a big Jumbotron kind of screen in the summertime, where you can stop in with your family and enjoy a movie or a family movie night. And while we're on the topic of different summer activities that you can find in Ankeny, I have to mention some of the other things that we have going on. So we talked about the farmers market in Uptown, but in the district at Prairie Trail, you also have Sips and Songs, which is a really fun outdoor family-friendly concert that you can go to. So they'll not shut everything off, but they could have put up kind of like a fence area in that outdoor area. They have bands in there, you get tickets, you go in. There are people who bring in their lawn chairs because, you know, I'm over 25 and I like to sit. And then you can just hang out there with your family. It's a very, very laid back, casual atmosphere. Or again, you can stop into any one of those restaurants nearby and enjoy the music from there as well. So those are really great activities that you can do in the summertime. Our kind of like citywide Summerfest is what it's called, but it's like our citywide kind of carnival that we have in the summertime also takes place up in Prairie Trail as well. So that's when they bring in more of like the carnival rides and a lot of the fun stuff that kids like doing, you know, the games that you play, the different kind of like corn dogs and all of the food and stuff like that you would expect to get at something like that also takes place up at the district at Prairie Trail. Another thing that Ankeny has is just a close proximity to Saylorville and Big Creek. So that is in Polk City instead, which again is just a 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive from us. But there you have Big Creek. Big Creek is a really great lake that you can enjoy. I would say if you're looking for more of like a laid back kind of fishing experience, you're gonna go to Big Creek. If you're looking for more of like the speedboats, tubing, jet skiing, like that kind of stuff, you're definitely going to be more on the Saylorville side there, but it does have, you know, the opportunity to enjoy those outdoor amenities in the summertime. And again, believe it or not, there are actually still some suburbs in the metro that don't have their own pool. Ankeny, of course, does. We actually have two pools. There's, in my mind, like the north and the south pool, but it is the Ankeny Prairie Ridge pool, and then you also have Cascade Falls. Prairie Ridge is more laid back. It doesn't have quite as many slides and things of that nature. And then Cascade has a lot more of the slides, water park. They have the thing that you surf on. What's that called? The thing that you surf on. Some of those fun things that you would like to have and kind of explore a little bit more. And at this point in the winter, I think we're all looking for some sun on our faces. So we have those things to look forward to. Now, I just kind of briefly touched on the fact that there's some different shopping options outside of your Targets and Walmarts, but of course, those are going to be where you want to make sure that you have access to, right? Or at least most people do. There was a certain suburb in the area that for the longest time, believe it or not, did not have a Target. If you are looking for that location and you want to check that out when you come to Ankeny, you definitely need to check out Delaware. So you will see here that Delaware runs parallel to the interstate. So naturally we have most of our interstate accesses in the town to I-35 are through Delaware. But again, it has a ton of shopping, especially this stretch that's kind of highlighted right here where you would find a bunch of your retailers. So over there, you've got your Walmart, your Target, your Shoe Carnival, your TJ Maxx. Fleet and Farm is one of my husband's favorite locations to visit, along with Sam's out in that direction as well, Sam's Club. So if you do come to the area and you'd like to take a look at that, go ahead and visit that area. You will find tons of, again, shopping, restaurants, and some more of, I would say, kind of your chain-based stores over in that location. I will say though, if you are deciding to go and visit that area, I probably wouldn't do it on a Saturday at like noon because you are going to probably get a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of traffic that this area gets. So when I get up and I go to the store on these days and I'm trying to get into those locations on a Saturday, I try to make sure that I go early, anywhere between 8 and 10 o'clock. You're not gonna have as much traffic. You're gonna be able to get over there pretty quickly. I should also mention that our home kind of renovation stores, so like your Home Depots and your Menards, are also over there as well. So it's a Saturday morning, you're doing your home projects. You probably wanna get over there sooner rather than later as to not hit some of that traffic that we get. I know to some who may be coming from outside the state, you think there's no way that Ankeny, Iowa has traffic, but that is one of our pinch points, I would say, in the city, where you just want to be a little bit aware of the timing when you're going over there. Take the back way in or take one of the side streets in instead of having to drive like the whole way up that road. Now, I might be a little bit biased, but I don't think that you can talk about Ankeny without talking about a pretty rich tradition of extracurricular activities for kids, not just with sports, but also with like music and show choir and play, and the arts are also honored, I think, just as much through the school systems as well, and have a lot of activity and a lot of involvement with the students in both of those areas. Believe it or not, you are actually looking at a prior state athlete. My, how far I have fallen. But I played volleyball back in the day. Ankeny clearly still has a really rich volleyball tradition, along with so many other sports that they excel at. And on top of having really good high school programs, there's clearly the feeders that go into that. But if you want to check out the amenities of what Ankeny has to offer, where your kids would be playing sports on the weekend, definitely go by Prairie Ridge Sports Complex. And if you hit it at like peak hours on a Saturday, you're going to run into quite a bit of traffic. But if you're here and you have an opportunity to just kind of drive around, you'll see a lot of people who walk around the sports complex pretty regularly. They have softball fields, they have soccer fields. I've had both of my kids up there so far for softball and soccer. Wouldn't necessarily recommend 3-year-old softball or t-ball, to be completely honest, but we did it. And they'll continue to go to that area to continue to experience those sports. Ankeny Rec League is still widely available if you want to get your kids involved in those types of things. And then recently there is like a Prairie Trail Sports Complex that is very new. That's an indoor facility for basketball and things of that nature as well. But you have very involved parents in the community, I would say just kind of across the board, who want their kids to have exposure to these types of things. I know a while ago, my sister even had one of her kids get involved in, it was like an Ankeny theater camp, and there's all sorts of camps throughout the summertime, if that is something that you're interested in getting your kids involved in. Now, referencing the activities without referencing schools is a little bit probably frivolous to most. So I'm gonna dive into that real quick. Ankeny is known for having very good schools. You can get online and you can search the specifics of these, and I will link a website for you guys. But usually Ankeny is an A to A- rating, even from elementary all the way up to high school. So we do have very good schools and have good standardized testing scores, I think is how they measure a lot of that. But there are also some private options as well if you're someone who would prefer to send your children to private schools instead. St. Luke's is the Catholic school in town. It is a feeder into Dowling. And then Ankeny Christian Academy is also another private school option if that's something that you would be interested in. If all of this is sounding like something that you might be interested in, I'm going to jump into just a few fun and kind of quick facts I would say about Ankeny real estate. So if you are thinking about moving to Ankeny, I would mention that there's a lot of different options available. So something that's always kind of struck me is in my first home, which was like a 1964 ranch style home. I always thought it was interesting. On occasion, we would have people from outside of Ankeny come and visit, and they'd always be a little bit surprised that they had like older neighborhoods and older properties, with some people saying, I didn't know that there was anything like this around here. I thought it was all newer construction, which, don't get me wrong, a bulk of our inventory is going to be newer construction. That's primarily because Ankeny is one of the few locations left that's not completely landlocked, so we do have more space to continue to develop and grow and put new homes in. But there are still options available. I would say we have a rental that was built in 1920. So up in that uptown area, there's a lot of older inventory. A lot of that has been a little bit eaten up, I would say, by investors. But on occasion, you still, on a rare occasion, you still get a single owner occupant who's getting ready to sell one of those properties. And you could potentially find things up there for still under $250,000. Again, that's going to change probably within the next year or two, depending on the market. But as it stands right now in the year 2025, you could still probably find that. And then just generally speaking, you can still find condos and townhomes under that, I would say, 150 price point. You'll still find active and available options at those price points too. Are there a lot of different kind of upper end price points as well? Absolutely. We have plenty of new developments that I would love to tell you about that have brand spanking new construction with beautiful builders, customs homes, and beautiful houses. And I could provide you all of the information on that as well, because that is something that Ankeny has and has the ability to do with the land that we have to develop. But if you are someone who's looking for something a little bit newer, there are older construction options available as well. Just depending on your price point and what you're looking for, there is a whole variety of homes to choose from. So we've talked briefly, I would say, about kind of those first-time homebuyer price points and how there's a ton of inventory outside of that as well. But if you are someone who's looking for more of the retirement, or maybe you're at the point in your life where you're looking at doing a little bit more of a downsize, there are some really great options for that as well. So if you're looking at doing, like, you're older and you want to get into something that's less maintenance, the Epcon communities are really well known around the area as being like an active 55 plus community. They're kind of higher end, I would say, townhomes. There's also some older, I would say more, Maplewood Village tends to get more into like an apartment style living. It is an older complex, kind of down in the Delaware area that we talked about it, or off the Delaware area that we had talked about. So they're a little bit older, probably not like the newer amenities that you would come to expect, but if you had a family member that really just needed like a very easy to maintain 1-bedroom type of place, that's probably where you'd go. They also have, I believe it's like the Vintage Co-op. It's up off of Magazine in Ankeny, and that is also more of like a condo style of living, but they do have more amenities that are offered, and because of that, they have a very high HOA due, so just something to kind of look into if you're thinking about those options. Now, if you are interested in making a move to Ankeny, I would love to talk with you more about the inventory, the options, the new construction, the existing construction, and everything in between. I would love to be able to serve as a resource for you on that. If you have any questions and you just want to talk to me about anything at all, I would love to chat. My contact information is 515-210-5198. I appreciate you visiting my channel. If you have any recommendations for other videos that you would like to see, feel free to leave a comment of the different content that you would be looking for and how I can best serve you.